Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I love saying that with you guys. I am so excited for today's video because I am taking a little trip down memory lane. Last year, I went to the Ambani wedding with Kim Kardashian and I did Kim and Khloe's makeup on the trip. And we did so many looks, and this one in particularly that I'm doing today went very viral. I thought this would be a perfect look to recreate. I wanted to make sure it was really special for you all, and I'm really excited to break it down. In my chair today, I have Jully, who is a beautiful Indian influencer, model, and YouTuber. Her handle is just Jully on all platforms. Oh, and just wait for this transformation because Jully is literally giving Indian Kim. And I couldn't be more obsessed with the way that this turned out. And I just can't wait to walk you through it. So let's get into it. Eye care is truly the new skincare, so I am cleansing Jully's eyes. This is how I prep all of my clients' eyes before we get into eye makeup and face makeup. For a very healthy glow on the skin, I'm using the Elemis Superfood Facial Oil. I've been using this in my makeup kit for years. Applying it all over the face and the neck, of course. To prep her lips, I'm using my Laneige lip mask and just letting this sit on the lips while I do the makeup. For eye cream, I'm all about using hydrating products underneath the eyes, and this is a little something I've been working on. Giving Jully's skin a quick lymphatic and getting some blood flow into the cheeks. This is a facial sculpting tool that my facialist created, and I can't wait to share the link with you as soon as it launches. For the face, I'm making upward strokes just to lift everything upward and really work on those lymph nodes. I'm going to continue prepping the under eyes with the 111 Skin Celestial Black Diamond Eye Masks. These are really cooling and depuffing. To sculpt the brows, I'm using my Kelly Baker brow pencil in the shade dark brown, and I'm just making hair strokes in the direction that her hair naturally lays, and I like to focus on the outer corner of the brows first. So basically focusing on the tail of the brows and then working my way towards the inner. Once I get towards the inner part of the brow, I focus on making soft vertical strokes of hair. To prep the eyes, I use the Morphe M134 brush. This is a flat concealer brush, and I'm applying the RCMA Shinto palette to the eyelids. Then to set this area, I'm using the Morphe M331 blending brush and my Kosas translucent powder. Also applying just a little bit of translucent powder into the brows so they don't look shiny. Taking this very warm bronzy matte eyeshadow, I'm just applying this to the outer corner eye and really laying this down from the crease to the corner of the lid. Using my Morphe M331 brush, this is a fluffy blending brush, and I'm making really soft strokes, focusing on blowing this out and bringing it in the inner corner of the eye and the outer to give it a more sultry look. Using another warm matte tone, this is from the Skin by Kim eye palette, and I'm also using the same brush, and I'm just bringing this through the crease to give it even more warmth and definition. Taking this warm tan beige shade, I'm popping this right on the inner corner of the lid. I'll make sure to link all these amazing brushes below. I always love how juicy the under eyes look right after you remove the eye patches. Using my Neutrogena makeup wipes, I'm being really mindful about only wiping off the inner corner and outer corner of the eyes and keeping that eye cream underneath. I am so ready to see these eyes come to life, so I'm using an ink liner. Starting from the outer corner of the eye, I'm slowly dragging the tip downward, and I'm holding my thumb on her lid so she doesn't blink. This is my trick when I'm working on a client. For a very precise liner, I like to make small movements, basically pressing the ink liner on. Time to get into the skin, so I'm using the Laura Mercier Hydrating Primer, and I'm applying this with a sponge. This sponge is by Morphe, and I've been obsessed with it. Applying the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation in the shade 6 with the M242 Morphe brush. This is the same brush that I use to apply the oil. Starting from the bottom of the face and just working my way upward, and then going back in with the sponge just to make sure I don't have too much product on the face. And this is definitely more of a duo fiber brush, so you do want to go in and press this in with a more dense brush at the end, or you can use a sponge just to make sure you have a seamless application. To sculpt the face, I'm using the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Medium. And applying this with the Morphe M243 brush. This has a nice curve to it, so it really hugs the cheeks. And this brush has a nice angled curve to it, so it really hugs the cheeks in every area that you want to sculpt of the face. Shading the forehead, sculpting the cheekbones, and also sculpting the jawline. Kim loves when the contour really gets into the hairline. We don't like to see any line of demarcation, so don't be afraid to get it in the hairline. However, if you're blonde, I would stay away from that. I also love a soft nose contour because we're gonna do so much more with the powders. This is another trick that I do on so many of my clients. I take the NARS concealer in the shade Custard, or you can go for an even lighter shade depending on your skin tone, and leave a little line down the bridge of the nose and let it dry and come back to it later. To correct the under eyes, I'm using the Morphe Wake Up Artist and the Peach Corrector with the M133 brush. This is an incredible product because this formula really moves with your facial expressions. So it basically looks like skin. I like to do most of the work with the brushes, and then I'll lightly go in with a sponge where needed. For concealer, I've been loving the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer in 2W0 and 2N. Applying this with the Morphe M333 brush. Sometimes I like to go in with an eyeshadow brush for concealer because it just applies it really softly and a little bit more natural. And this look was really all about the skin, and the blush was definitely having a moment. So this is by Hourglass and it's in the shade Whim, and I'm just applying this to the tops of the cheeks with a higher placement. And then I also like to blend out the nose and then bring the blush over it. To set the under eyes, I'm using the Kosas Loose Powder in Buttery and Candy, and I'm blending the under eyes with a sponge underneath, and then going in with a powder puff just to set the under eyes and the T-zone. This is exactly what I do on Kim. Kim definitely loves more of a set look that is sculpted, so it's really important to take a puff or a brush and sculpt right underneath the cheekbones. And going back in with that really warm bronzy tone right underneath the lash line. This is a pretty light shade, so I feel like it gives soft definition, and that's exactly what I want. For brows, I'm using my Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. I like to apply this in a downward direction first, then upward. I feel like this will really lock in the product, especially if your brow hairs are very straight and they don't really do what you want them to. To set the contour, I'm using my Gucci bronzer in the shade 3. You can see I went behind the ears slightly. It's so important to make sure you bronze behind the ear. I mean, my clients are getting their photo taken from every angle, and we are snatching this face. I am not holding back. Kim loves warmer tones. Sometimes I'll mix cooler tones with her makeup too, but with the brown hair, she definitely looks amazing with warm tones on the skin. I love finishing off my makeup looks with a setting spray. This one is by Morphe. It is the Continuous Setting Mist. So instead of spraying the face right now, I'm actually spraying the sponge, and then I'm going into the skin with a pressing motion. And this is just gonna soften up everything that I've done. With the same bronzer by Gucci that I used on the face, I mixed a little bit of it with translucent powder, and I'm just defining the nose a little bit more. And then I'm going back over this area with a little bit of my Kosas Loose Powder in translucent. And that basically just softens up any harsh lines because that's not what we want. I want her to look softly sculpted. And then to snatch the nose even more, I'm using a highlighter by Dior with a very small eyeshadow brush by Morphe. This is a trick that I love doing. If any of my clients have any beauty marks that were covered up by makeup, I always bring them back by adding a liquid eyeliner or a freckle marker pen. Anything like that will work. For the lips, I'm using a lip liner by Freck in the shade 01. I'm also using a lip liner by Vive in the shade Bark. Starting off with the Freck liner first, I wanted something that was very Kim K. This is a gorgeous nude that I'm using to define the lips. I always like to overdraw right in the center, so just kind of accentuating the Cupid's bow and then keeping the corners pretty tight. I like to do all of that overdrawing with the top and bottom lip, and then going in with this deeper shade, Bark by Vive, and I'm just using this to contour the lips even more. To add a pop of pink to the center of the lips, I'm using a lipstick by Rocaille Beauty, and this is in the shade Refined. And of course, it's never enough blush for me, so I'm going in with the shade Petunia by Stila. I hope I'm saying that right. And do you guys see what this just did to the skin? I feel like it really took it to the next level. I also like to leave it dewy just like this because I wanted Kim to have really fresh skin. And it also works out better when your hair is back, so nothing sticks to the blush. To define the eyes, I'm going in with my Thrive mascara. This is a tubing mascara, so I do love the way that this comes off once you remove your makeup. For this custom lash look, I used Rokiel Beauty individual lashes in Aurora Lights and Stars. And I also used the Flare individual lashes by Elegance, and this is in Short. So starting off with Aurora Lights, I'm using a longer, wispier style and applying it to the outer corner. The glue that I'm using is Duo. This is my favorite glue to have in my kit. And I'm leaving a little space in between each lash because I want this to be a soft, fluttery look. Ooh, and when she opens the eyes, it's over. I'm obsessed. You can see that this style wings out, so it really fans out in the same shape as the liner and the eyeshadow. As I make my way towards the inner parts of the eye, that's when I start adding those short flares. Now, to lock it all in, you can use the Continuous Setting Mist by Morphe. And here is the finished look. Jully and I were so excited with the way this looked turned out. We just couldn't get over it. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this long form makeup tutorial recreating one of my favorite looks that I've done on Kim Kardashian. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys want me to recreate another one of my India looks. There's also some looks that I did on Khloe Kardashian that I'm obsessed with. But let me know down below if there's anything else that you guys want to see from me on this channel. And I'll see you next time.